Let me ask you something. What if I told you that the average human life is only about 4,000 weeks long? It's a pretty startling number, right? And it's the jumping-off point for Oliver Burkeman's book, a work that honestly turns our whole modern obsession with productivity completely on its head.
Just think about that number for a second. 4,000. That's it. That's pretty much the whole game. When you really let that sink in, it feels, well, like Burkeman says, absurdly, terrifyingly, insultingly short. It just takes this big, vague concept of our life and makes it feel incredibly real and, well, final. And that realization leads us to the book's big central question. I mean, think about it. We all feel rushed, right? We're constantly behind, always trying to catch up. And our go-to solution is always to be more efficient, to find more time. But what if that's not the problem at all? What if the real issue is that we're trying to cram an infinite list of dreams and to-dos into a painfully finite life? So this brings us right to what Burkeman calls the 4,000-week paradox. We're just surrounded by technology that promises to save us time. Email, smartphones, all these productivity apps. And yet, does anyone you know actually feel less busy? It seems like we're more rushed, more anxious, and more completely overwhelmed than ever before. How does that work? Okay, so here's Burkeman's really radical idea. He's saying our short life isn't some problem that we need to solve with another app or a clever new scheduling hack. No, it's actually a reality we need to embrace. And this constant, frantic effort to master our time, that's the very thing that's making us miserable.
Let's dig into this idea he calls the efficiency trap. It's this wild, counterintuitive concept that explains why all our best efforts to get on top of everything they just seem to backfire, leaving us feeling even more overwhelmed than when we started.
This chart just nails the trap perfectly. Burkeman uses the example of the washing machine. It was supposed to free up hours and hours of our time. But what really happened? Our standards of cleanliness just shot through the roof. Suddenly, you were expected to wash clothes after wearing them just once. So the labor-saving device didn't really save labor, it just created new kinds of work by raising the bar for everyone.
This is just a perfect illustration of Parkinson's law, which basically says work will always expand to fill whatever time you give it. Think about your own job for a minute. The more efficient you get at answering emails, what happens? You just get more emails. The faster you clear your inbox, the faster people expect to reply, and the faster it fills right back up. The very tech we use to get on top of everything just ends up making everything a whole lot bigger.
So the really crucial thing to get here is that the efficiency trap is basically a hamster wheel. The better you get at running, the faster the wheel spins. The more you manage your time, the more demands you face. And it doesn't lead to a feeling of peace. It just leads to that constant nagging feeling in the back of your mind that you're always falling behind. Now, to really escape this trap, Burkeman says we have to go way deeper. We actually have to confront the truth of our own finitude. And look, this isn't about being morbid or dark. It's about really, truly understanding what it means to be a limited human being in a world that offers infinite possibilities. To really drive this point home, Burkeman brings in the philosopher Martin Heidegger. And the core idea is this: our limited time isn't a bug, it's a feature. The fact that you can't do everything, that choosing one path means you have to say no to all the others, that's what gives your choices any meaning at all. If you had infinite time, no single decision would matter one bit. This right here is probably the most profound, most important mindset shift in the entire book. We always talk about having time, as if it's a resource we own, like money in the bank. Burkeman says that's totally wrong. Our existence isn't separate from how long it lasts. You don't have a limited amount of time. You are a limited amount of time. We are temporary, from the moment we start to the moment we end.
Okay, so if we accept that we're finite, how are we supposed to actually live? This isn't about giving up or becoming passive. It's about making really conscious, strategic choices about what we're willing to fail at. It's what Burkeman calls the art of creative neglect.
So Burkeman gives us 3 really practical principles for this. First, pay yourself first with time. Just like with saving money, block out time for your most important stuff before the chaos of the day takes over. Second, limit your works in progress. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. So focus on just a few things. And third, and this one's my favorite, resist middling priorities. The best story for this is about Warren Buffett telling his pilot to list his top 25 career goals, then circle the top 5. And then he told him to treat the other 20 as an avoid-at-all-cost list. Why? Because those are the ones that are just seductive enough to distract you from what's truly important. And all of this leads to maybe our most precious, most limited resource of all. And it's not time, it's attention. Because what you choose to pay attention to from one moment to the next, that is your life. That's really it. That's the sum total of your experience on this planet. Do you remember this? A few years ago, BuzzFeed live-streamed 2 people just wrapping rubber bands around a watermelon until it finally exploded, and millions of people watched. Now seriously, did any of those people wake up that morning and consciously decide, you know what, today I'm going to dedicate a precious portion of my finite existence to this watermelon? Of course not. Their attention got hijacked, and that is the entire business model of the modern attention economy, to grab your focus and sell it to the highest bid.
And they do it using something called persuasive design. You know that pull to refresh motion on your phone's feed? That is not an accident. It works on the exact same psychological principle as a casino's slot machine. It's called variable rewards. You never know if the next pull is going to give you a juicy notification or something interesting, so that uncertainty keeps you pulling that little lever over and over again, compulsively trading away your finite life for a tiny hit of dopamine.
So what's the ultimate takeaway from all this? I mean, if we can't control time and our attention is under constant attack, where on earth do we find any freedom? Well, Burkeman argues it comes from dropping the struggle entirely and just engaging with the only moment we ever actually have, right now.
And this right here is the key. The path to a calmer, more meaningful life isn't about finding some new productivity system. It's about letting go of the illusion that you could or even should ever get on top of it all. It's about finally accepting reality for what it is instead of constantly fighting against it.
So let's end with the question that really gets to the heart of this book's challenge to all of us. So many of us are waiting, right? We're waiting for the perfect time, for when we feel ready, for when we finally have all our ducks in a row. But that moment, it never actually comes. The only real time you have is right now. So the real question for you is, what important thing are you putting off that you could just begin imperfectly today?